My first thought was, I'm going to die. That's it. It's over. My second thought was, what's going to happen to the children? What's going to happen to the family if I'm gone? We really haven't prepared for this. And my third thought was, all the amazing plans that we have and had, they're all kaput. For most people, as I said, the financial challenges with cancer really punch a hole through their self-esteem as well as through their future plans. I have known specific situations where people have gone bankrupt trying to survive cancer, because cancer is a long-term illness. It's not something that you finish off. And in a country where insurance is discretionary and mostly private, we are going to face this, unlike in other countries where there is a social and a healthcare net that can take care of people. I was very, very fortunate because I was a very senior executive in a MNC company which had extremely good staff welfare and health policies. So I obviously checked immediately what my coverage was, and I was fully covered for my medical expenses, hospitalization, OPD. Prior to moving to London, when we were based in Singapore, I had also purchased a personal insurance policy, but with a critical illness rider, and I had taken it. That rider also covered cancer. And so I was in a lucky situation where my medical costs got covered by the company policy, and all the other complementary therapies, psychological counseling, all of that I could cover from the redemption of my critical illness policy. So I did not personally have to face that much of a financial burden, but I know that I am in a very, very small minority. See, I was financially totally unplanned because I was still quite young, and I didn't have really that much wealth to even think about financial planning. And it's only after the cancer when I realized that, hey, there is a big risk here, not only for me, but for the people who I'm going to leave behind in case something should happen to me, that I took on the whole idea of financial planning. And because of what I started then, which is now almost 18 years, I think that today I can say that I feel financially secure. So my advice to people is plan for the best, prepare for the worst, do what you can, leave the rest to life. I think a good age to start financial planning would be somewhere in your late 30s. You should not keep it beyond 40, in my view. Earlier the better. I think in today's generation, people are incurring debt too early, but not planning for the future early enough. And this puts them in a very risky kind of a situation. So I have advised our children to delay debt and bring forward financial planning as much as they can. Become financially literate as soon as possible. I think one of the big challenges everywhere in the world, more so in India, is that we might be academically literate, but we are emotionally and financially illiterate. See, to begin with, you have to put the foundation in place. So stability and steady returns was the focus. We started building the portfolio at the foundation to say what are the stability requirements, and then you look at what are the investment and appreciation requirements. And so it's like a pyramid. Essentially, it's a question of not scattering your effort too much, because then it gets difficult to manage, it's complex, it doesn't make sense. But it's not putting all your eggs into one basket, because anything can happen. One company in somebody's portfolio can tank, and that will drag down the entire fund. So now it is a well spread, well balanced portfolio, but it started with zero. And so I guess what people can learn from my experience is that it's never too late to start, and if you do it consistently over a period of time, you can be in a secure position. For me, the product and its role in my strategy is what is important. We look to see not only whether the plan itself looks and sounds good, but what is the reputation of the insurer in terms of dealing with claims. Because when it comes to the crunch, there are horror stories of claims getting denied and delayed and all kinds of negotiations having to be done and so on. And so really, when you're going through an illness like cancer, you don't have the time or the bandwidth or the inclination to get into that kind of stuff. So things must be simple and things must happen quickly. Money is very, very important because it allows you to actually lead the life of freedom that you want. Money enables you to live your aspiration. But if you look at how money is being used today, it's become the dominant factor in our lives as opposed to being one among many factors in our life. Money is supposed to be a measure of value, but today it's become a measure of happiness. This is a big problem. If you don't have the resources to support and fuel those aspirations, you will be miserable. But we start mistaking the fuel for the destination. We mistake the vehicle for the destination. And so I would say that if you can find the perspective of earning enough money to support your aspirations, but not make money the destination or the measure of happiness, then you will be in a good place.